She has a plan, a secret mission filled by gratitude and affection. She chooses her mother's favorite breakfast. Delight Foods, House Sakoko, a harmonious blend of flavors crafted with care and devotion. The taste of tradition and comfort. In that moment, their connection deepens, a bond strengthened by a shared experience. Delight Foods, House Sakoko, a delicious breakfast made with care and love in just 2 minutes.
Funding wallets on TapTapSend. Step 1. Click on Create Ghana Cedi Wallets below when you open the app. Step 2. Enter amount of your choice in Ghana Cedis. Step 3. Click on the Confirm and Fund wallet below to confirm. Step 4. Your wallet has been successfully funded. Step 5. Enter amount of your choice in Ghana Cedis. Step 6. Select or add new recipient. Step 7. Choose wallet as payment method. Step 8. Click on the Pay with Wallet below to confirm. Step 9. Your transaction is successful.
This Airbnb in Dansoman Estates, Accra, is only $40 a day and offers all the amenities for a comfortable stay. It is also conveniently located 30 minutes away from the airport. We also have 1 and 2 bedroom apartments for long-term rental at English Heat, Amamprom, 15 minutes to the Wejito booth and the West Hills Mall, going for 1,500 and 1,000 Ghana cedis only. Call Parry Group on 053-866-3532, 053-866-3532. This is Parry Group of Companies.
Living in Ghana, abroad, a first-timer visiting Ghana, or a company wondering where to get quality service providers in Ghana for any job? Then Ejumapa On Demand Services is here to assist you. Ejumapa On Demand Services connect requesters and service providers such as masons, plumbers, electricians, auto repairers, home and office cleaners, trash collectors, rent agents, spa attendants, roofers, beauticians, teachers, CCTV installers, and all artisans on one platform. Yes, one platform. Trust Ejumapa On Demand Services to sort you out any day, anywhere, and at any time. To download the app, please visit the App Store and Play Store or visit our website www.ejumapa.com.
About SVTV Africa, so thank God it's Friday. Fridays be out himself in lawyer wisdom Akao Wiseman solicitors a program or I say na many lawyer ka bibi me try bibi my first time I'm me try bibi say me the phone in segment be count into on himself many lawyer started program we a check pa na ya na do na no mo type questions in our comment section but mo ntimi mfre in but and then mo chance na mo lawyer kasa brief ubaswa o question be obeso bisa brief 30 seconds watch 30 seconds and men power 1 minute o question be ati say na be obi fufu beba na obi sa na nti en check next hour na ewi nti na me ne lawyer wisdom akawaba comment section be wo but o de opa frɛ time ni do am tuma number no me be to screen so no wa frɛ na no lawyer edi ngomo straight the obi bisa no be na we bisa no I mean go straight lawyer wisdom akawa lawyer me mo akwa aboko there
DJ happy birthday Boko.
Thank you. Now, look at me energy now, sir. We have a program there 2 hours. We use the energy now, sir.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And I'm on so air starting Subank account. Say small.
Everybody.
Lawyer, what be there? No, what by internet? Me say, yeah, allow phone in segments, kakra.
Yeah.
The other baby, I think the boss we are. Yeah, phone in segment. Didn't you so? Ebia, obi o problem. Obi person, obi sa question be. And I be I am. It means say I'm from now. The woman him say we a busy man. Aha, inti. Yeah, so mun san kausa. Me the lawyer ba mo betimi phone in no na mo bisa na but. Oka say tinti amesel say. Me de metwa so ma obi for chance na nipa na abanti memma ukasa anya tente wo obi bibisa na papa anya afi na oba be narrate two stories na no we then so ye unya more details there na wa contact na a brief one na we brief you na ye ko nti lawyer Wiseman solicitors over to yenko oboso we are and else and share dependent then also and share we are na yenko straight
Me that say, DJ, once again, Mr. Samemo, a very, very happy birthday. You've been with us for some time now, and we seriously appreciate Ejuma Awuye. We are very grateful. We are very neutral. You don't align one way or the other. You are a very good referee. And we want to take this opportunity to wish you a very, very happy birthday. Now,
me da say obi abrami we bi wa say say me
oh,
ntwa me num
Mr. I mean, your program, no, yes, sir, you start me.
abi me say me nyet tete force me num akọ
All right, so we wish you all the best, good health. We wish you blessings, prosperity, and for you to carry on being a blessing to all of us.
me da say
Thank you. Maybe I'll momo you, so don't worry.
yeah lawyer so be drop him mumu asell lawyer sell the mumu bo nti mo so mo fa mumu bra Wiseman solicitors say omo de mumu ba nti mo fa mumu bra nti mo send mumu me the number no e be to screen so na mo frɛ lawyer the same number na mumu nti lawyer what about there and also and switching option available to skilled workers
Dependents, yes. Skilled workers, dependents, and other
holders.
Yes.
And emodu, yankwe.
And then the main pump, then we can go into the time this swap, and then the time this swap and say a very quick. Now,
yankwe.
When you say nipa bebre about from her buyer with skilled worker visa, a BD is health and care and a Eddie buyer. Bano, a video mo yere no ana kuno no mo Eddie come ho Eddie buyer. A business aba say partners do we a lot of problems and air cost. The problems a bit feed the employers omoni ejuma nti e be ama most of the employees now are stranded omoni ejuma anticipate rent and all the other living costs na very problem. So it's a huge problem. Apart from that, but the relationship is not working. They don't know each other very well as husband and wife. And then there's a whole lot of problems arising. And because of that, the relationships have broken down. And it is creating all kinds of difficulties for people. Now, the problem is, so look at it from the problem, we'll look at it from the side of the employer. Now, assuming the employer and his sponsorship license has been revoked by the Home Office, what do you do? We'll look at it from that side. And we'll look at it from the side where, even if the sponsorship license is not revoked, now, so a Juma anyhow, what do you do? So we are looking at it from the employer's perspective in terms of revocation of their sponsorship license and also not revoked but a Juma anyhow. And now the third aspect is set dependent no person or shape a main applicant. Is it possible to do that? And now as a main applicant they move it to another sponsor. Do they have to move with the dependent? So one, revocation of sponsorship license, 2, not enough jobs. 3, main sponsor moving to another job. And 4, dependent moving to another job as a main applicant. So first of all, if your employer's sponsorship license has been revoked, the Home Office will normally give you 60 days to shift. Say, as a one moving on to that. And now you make preparation now with from her. During that 60 days, who are UK legally? And so, if that happens to be the case, my advice is say, ubenya another employer, move to that employer, on our sponsorship license. It does not have to be care only, and it does not have to be only skilled worker per se. There are other options, but we'll look at that later. So first, say employer has revoking his sponsorship license. Now home office number 60 days to switch it, and say will switch it to another employer. It can be IT company that has a sponsorship license. It can be hospitality industry, maybe a restaurant, etc. that has sponsorship license. It could be to maybe a media house that has a sponsorship license, as long as, or it can be an accounting firm that has a sponsorship license, as long as the employer is properly licensed from the Home Office. I'm not talking about practicing license from the company's house. I'm talking about sponsorship license from the Home Office. So on more sponsorship license now, then you can move to that employer, and then you can carry on working with the new employer. That is one. We're trying that's a 60 days not one moving on to another route that you have become, or you will become an overstayer. And once you overstay, it becomes very difficult to move you into another category. So that is the first point of consideration. Number 2, and yes, you revoke the employer license, but a juma and a anyhow. Employer no enough job to do, and also say in 5 years time, and in 3 years time, and not even in 2 years time, 2, 3 or 5 years time. So time is up for you to renew your visa when you have all the necessary supporting documents to support it, and you decide to move. In that case, again, so when you another employer, you can move to the new employer. Now you will now be with a new employer, not the old one now on Mao Ejumano. So let's bear that in mind. You move to the new employer and not to remain with the old employer. So that is also another option. I will discuss other options that a skilled worker can switch to, but for now, I just want to focus on moving from one employer to another. The third option, and is assuming the main applicant is moving to a new employer, do not remain on the old employer if you are a dependent. Yeah, I use a very common sense analogy. The main sponsor and I will really the main applicant, and I will want to so as a dependent. And it's a dria is ho. So a driano movia, it has to move with the branches. So uyi branch nifi a driano the branch will perish, the branch will wither and die. And to say the sponsor and your wife, your husband, when anybody and I will can so when you're a new employer not or switch here, please switch with your sponsor. So when you're immediately employer, what will happen is that so on no anywhere won't yet a new application and you all be on the same sponsorship license. So And yes, sir, or no, would move on. You will be stranded after some time because you are still with the old employer, which should not be the case. My video viewer baby, say you can remain with the old employer. For me, I would not advise that for you to remain with the old employer. Remember that you are based on your main applicant. Now, if the main applicant is moving, please move with the main applicant to a new employer. So we've looked at a scenario, the sponsorship license has been revoked or cancelled. We've looked at a scenario where there is not enough job and you decide to move. And we've also looked at a scenario where the main applicant is moving, then they have to move with the dependent. A lot of problems arise. Some may say me move it, as a semi BV, but also Mwame and unsupporting me and see our enemy good. And also we hear all kinds of things, but media coming from Kayama and Tiasia and Yajuman support Yahu. And in cases where there is a need to bear a burden, not one person should shoulder all of those burdens, but we can all share the burdens in terms of application fee and any other related appointment fee, etc., fees that would arise. Let's cooperate with each other and the problems come. Now, the next thing I want to look at is it possible that a dependent, will be a dependent, so saying or no bus switch the main applicant, not main applicant abaye dependent, and is it possible for the dependent to become the main applicant, and then the main applicant now becomes a dependent on the main applicant becomes a dependent on the previous dependent who is now a main applicant? Well, yes, it is possible, sir, we the dependent now unya sponsorship license again from whichever company, a skilled worker company or a tier 2 skilled worker company, they have a sponsorship license. It is possible for that individual to move to the new sponsor. Now, the dependent can move, and once the dependent moves, the main applicant can also move with the dependent. However, there are some categories of employees or categories of tier 2 workers who cannot go with their dependents. Now, there's a provision in the appendix skilled worker SW29 1A, 1A and 1B. Appendix skilled worker 29, that's paragraph SW29 1A, 1A and 1B. As said, the person who is the main applicant should be here as a skilled worker before the 11th of March 2024 and has continued to be a skilled worker, but they don't come within this code. There are some codes. If you're in that code, you cannot go with your dependent. The codes are SO2, SOC 2020 6135 and SOC 2020 6136. So SOC 2020 6135 and 6136. If you are in that category, you came before 31st of December 2020, before 2024, you can still carry on being in that category with your dependents. But if you got your sponsorship license after 31st of December 2020, and you are in any of these codes, then you cannot move with your dependent. I mean, there are 4 codes: SOC 2020 6135, SOC 2020 6136, SOC 2010 6145, SOC 2010 6146. These 4 categories are senior care workers and home carers. If you are in that category before 31st of March 2024, you can still carry on with your dependents. But if you got your sponsorship license after this date, which is the 11th of March 2024, and you are in any of these codes, then you cannot move with your dependent. Mercy Subium is quite confusing. If you came to the UK before 11th of March 2024 and you are in the code of SOC 2020 6135, SOC 2020 6136, and also in the code of SOC 2010 6145, SOC 2010 6146. If you came before 11th of March and you are in any of these codes and you have still continued to be a skilled worker, you are able to still apply to move with your spouse or your dependent. However, if you came to the UK, example, a dependent who now wants to be a main applicant, if you move into any of these codes, 6135, 6136, 6145, 6146, if you move into these codes, which is a newly issued code after the 11th of March 2020, you cannot move with your dependent because you are in these codes, but the codes and the category under which you are was issued after the laws changed. So let's be very careful, very, very careful. I have seen people who have got it wrong. They applied not knowing that these codes were a limitation for them to move if it was after 11th of March 2024. So please take note of this if you want to switch. Yes, it is possible to switch, but be sure that you are switching into the right category and therefore you can move with your spouse or your dependent. If you are alone without any dependents, then you don't have a problem. You can move into a new category, 31, 31, 30, what do you call it, 61, 35, 61, 36, 61, 45, 61, 46. So it's 35, 36, 45, 46, SOC 2020, SOC 2010. Any of these categories, you can move, but if you have a dependent, then you may have some difficulties. If you came with this before the laws change, you can still move with your dependent. If you got this after the law change, you cannot move with your dependents. Let me just summarize it briefly for you that way. So that is how you can switch. Yes, main applicant can switch and switch with their dependents, or a dependent can switch into another category and move with their dependents. Now the table has 10, but you must ensure that you are in the right code. And yes, sir, you find yourself in a very hot water. So that is one. Another option people who are on skilled worker visa can switch to, another category you can switch to is people can switch to the NHS if you get a right one that has a sponsorship license. Some of the NHS providers, the National Health Service providers, with some of the trusts have sponsorship. So Oya will research now say and this trust in maybe Cumbria, almost sponsorship license, and now Coventry, almost sponsorship license, and now Hertfordshire, almost sponsorship license. Of course, you can move to them if they would employ you, and based on your skilled work, of course, over to me, I'm moving into that category, and then you can carry on working. And yeah, not a lot of times, yeah, no, you pay people to do the things for us. Lawyer, can you help me do this? Lawyer, can you get me this? Can you get me this job? I can't get you a job. I can only direct you as to what the law says and where to get it. And then may Edia support you, who is listening or who wants to know. I can only help direct you, signpost you. You can do it this way. You can get it from the NHS. You can get it from this company. But I cannot get the job for you. So don't leave it to your lawyer to do the job for you. I don't think that's very helpful. So please, we will show you what to do, but you have to go and do it yourself. The next one is, apart from the NHS, there's a company called Bupa, B-U-P-A, Bupa. Bupa is a very well-renowned company in the UK, and I understand and I know that they work in the area of health care, care homes, etc., etc. Also, they do employ a lot of people, and you can check with Bupa as well. And if they genuinely, if they employ you, it's a genuine employment. And yeah, pay now, say for X, Y, Z, of course, documentations they will check, but any additions, I don't think they will go asking for all of that. So, Bupa is another company where you can switch into. So switch to a new employer, switch to NHS, switch to Bupa, and I'm sure you'll be fine here. Another area is whilst as a skilled worker, hey, yeah, you've met your sweetheart. Why share with Dr. Bia and I want to have full person you're gonna have a baby. If that is the case, then of course you can switch to become a parent of a child that is a British citizen. You can switch to become a British citizen child in the UK, which is perfectly okay. So, if you have a parent, a child that is a British citizen, you can switch to that if you have one, and the child is a British citizen or the child has indefinite leave to remain. You can switch into that category as well. Open so maybe some said, "Not lawyer, your relationship no good, or no good, no divorce certificate." Met to me, I worry will be for now. Yes, there is nothing barring you from marrying. The only concern I have is sometimes oh die our we now worry will be for not a check too much. The Home Office can read all kinds of meaning into it. Example, Papa went in a walk room. It means from the moment now was it nano has become questionable. And it's a would trying another 8 months and son a application. The Home Office can say was it nano crown I ewu because one buy no muntematiti ananti enunti yenye ni se was it nana one. It is still a valid visa. It can raise all kinds of problems. And what I tell my clients is the Home Office normally gives 60 days for you to navigate and find an option. So if you say ACR, then of course, make sure that within that 60 days, which is deemed to be the period of validity of you being in the UK, within that period, you can, if you are able to, now you move on to another visa route rather than waiting for 80 days, 100 days, a year plus before you move. That can create all kinds of problems for you. So that is also that. So yes, spousal visa, as a parent, as a spouse, you can move to that. Also, nothing stops you from moving to become a student. Now, Osha, the appendix students, this one, that I haven't seen anything that limits a person who says if you're on a skilled health and care worker route, you can't become a student. From my last reading, I have not seen anything as such. So, yes, if you are here as a health and care worker, and for whatever reason there is a break in the relationship, and you want to move on to become a student, yes, I would say it is possible to become a student. Now, let me see. Study dependent of students. Let me see. Eligibility for a student visa. It says the applicant is applying for permission to stay. They must not be in breach of the immigration rules except where paragraph 39E applies. Now, with that eligibility, who cannot become a student? I can't see anything here which says that to me, if you're on a skilled worker, you cannot become a student. So yes, if you're on a skilled worker route, then possibly you can switch to become a student if you are able to afford the fee and all the necessary requirements that go with it. You can become a student. So that is what it is. So you can get on become a student. You can be a partner, you can be a parent, you can switch to another category. Also, you can become a minister of religion, assuming you're a pastor and you came to this country as a health worker and things aren't going as you expected. And the unya asori bia, asori no ewo sponsorship license, and they want to take you on as their spiritual leader, as a pastor of that church. Again, you can switch from whatever route you are on to become a minister of religion. And also, it is possible, sir, over to me, I get that switch now to become a minister of religion if you meet all the requirements. Then also, charity worker. Charity workers normally come from outside. As to whether or not you can become a charity worker in this country on a skilled worker visa is not very crystal clear. But of course, nothing stops you from taking that move if everything else fails. So, but obviously, it is not the strongest possible option. So, I will not really advise the charity visa option. Go for the other options and not the charity visa option. So, generally, these are some of the ways that a person who is here as a skilled worker can switch to become from one route to another, from one route to another, so that you will not be an overstayer. Okay, so now I've taken a look at who cannot become a who cannot become a student in this country. It says, one, if you are here as on a visit visa, you cannot become a student. Number two, if you're here on a short-term student visa, if you're here on a short-term student visa, you cannot switch to this visa if you have one of the following: a visit visa, a short-term student visa, parent of a child, student visa. If you are the parent and you are here to look after your child who is a student, you cannot switch to become a student. Seasonal worker visa. Those who come to pluck tomatoes and apples and stuff here, you cannot become a student because you are here to look after your child and not to study. Domestic worker in a private household. If you're a domestic worker in a private household, maybe you're a worker with your boss or madam in Ghana and you came together with them, you can also not switch to become a student because you are supposed to remain and work with your employer, your boss, and not to switch to become a student. So that is that as well. And then live outside the immigration rules. Those who have 10 years live outside the immigration rules, HRO, human rights outside the rules. These categories of people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, visit, short-term student, parent of a child student, seasonal worker, domestic worker in a private house, and live outside the immigration rules. These are the categories of people who cannot become students. There is no mention of health and care workers on the health and care visa route. And as a dependent of a health and care worker, and also over to me as we and for student route. So whilst I will share how far and Sana you work out other stuff. So that is for your information. Now, there are other categories of people who can switch as well, but DJ, if there are questions or there are any calls, I'll be more than happy to take it rather than just giving a raw lecture here. And DJ, I hope you're with me, and thank you. My monthly salary is not the same. That is from Lee Rambo. Hi, Lee. I hope you are doing very well this Friday, and you are ready for the weekend. Okay, I see. Hi, lawyer. Hi, monthly salary. My monthly salary is not the same every month due to the overtime and mileage payments, which makes my gross income above the minimum financial requirement for spouse visa. My gross income stated on my employment letter is below the financial requirements. In my application, which option should I choose? Not same amount continuously above the financial requirements or same amount continuously below the financial requirement? Well, if in total all that you earn on your pay slips, 6 months pay slips adds up to more than the £29,000. That is £29,000 divided by 6 months will give you, I think it's 14,500 if my math is correct. 29 divided by 2. Yes, with 14,500. So let's say we have 14,500 divided by 6 months. So if you can prove that you earn 2,400 and let's say 417 pounds or 420 pounds every month, 2420, I've just approximated it, every month for the 6 months, that is good enough. That is good enough. So what you can use is you can use your P60 and also the pay slips. You can also certainly do add the letter from the employer, but obviously that will state whichever amount is on the contract of employment. But if you aggregate and you add all your pay slips, that should be more than enough to show. So you can select above the threshold, not below the threshold, but above. Also, patience, hi. Please ask, okay, lawyer is right here. I need a visa switch as a main applicant. I came as a construction worker and I need to switch, please. Well, if you came as a construction worker, then you have to look for another company, either in the same construction company or in another company that they must have sponsorship license. If they have a sponsorship license, then certainly you can move on to that aspect with them. Or if you have a child in the UK, or you are married and your wife has a child, then of course you can apply to become a parent of a British citizen child or a partner of a British citizen or a person who has limited leave to remain in the UK. So yes, you can switch to another category if you meet the requirements in that aspect. Susanna Mensa, hello. Thanks for teaching us. Thanks for listening, my dear. God bless you too. God bless you. My husband is trying to fly for me. Which visa we should apply? Okay, your husband is trying to apply for you to come, so you want to know which visa to apply for. I would advise that once you are married, you said your husband, if he meets the other requirements, the relationship requirements, he meets it. Immigration status requirement is not a problem because you are outside. I believe it's not a problem. Financial requirement, that's the £29,000. If he meets that, then you just have to do the English language test at level A1. Then we get 6 months payslip, 6 months bank statement, tenancy agreement, and all the other supporting evidence to show communication between you and your husband. You will be able to join him here without any problems at all. Thankfully, Wise Smart Solicitors, we have been blessed with getting very successful decisions when it comes to spouse visa applications. I can confidently say our record in that aspect is more than 99% when it comes to spouse visa applications. More than 99%. Almost all are successful. Almost all are successful. Joseph Ayi, hello Papa Ayi, I hope you're doing good. Please, as a Ghanaian in the UK, can you apply for a divorce by being in the UK, or do you need to go to Ghana to apply for a divorce? Is the application from here accepted by the Home Office? Yes, if you're a Ghanaian in the UK, you are married, whether you married in Ghana or anywhere in the world, and you have the marriage certificate, you can use that as evidence that you're married. And if you want to file for a divorce, you can apply for the divorce in the UK. If both parties are in the UK, yes, you can do that. If both parties are not in the UK, again, you can do that, but the other party will have to be served. You can also do it from Ghana. You don't have to go to Ghana to get a divorce. There is something we call the power of attorney. Power of attorney means that you are not there yourself, but you have given the authority to somebody to act on your behalf. Maybe your uncle, your mother, your auntie, your sister, your friend can act on your behalf. That's what we call the power of attorney. So you are the You are the person giving the authority to another person to represent you. So you can give that authority to another person. Prepare a document, called a power of attorney for a divorce. You can do a power of attorney for other things, but you can prepare a power of attorney for divorce. In this case, send it off to the person. They would authenticate it and they can act on your behalf. You do not have to be in Ghana for the divorce to go through, but you can also do it here in the UK. In the UK, these days, what they do is it's a no fault divorce, and almost everything is online. So if you know your partner's email address, you know their telephone number, you know their address, you can get everything done online. The court will serve the other party online and they have to respond online. No hard or physical documents. So yes, it is also still possible to do it in UK. Hello, Gift. I'm a dependent. Can I switch from my wife's visa/company? Yes, if you're a dependent and for whatever reason you wish to switch, just make sure that you have a company that has a sponsorship license. In that case, you are able to switch to become your main man now. You're able to switch to become your own woman on your own, not necessarily based on the uh, the main applicant through whom or with whom you came. Godwin Marfu, hi. Good afternoon, good evening. I hope you're doing good. My younger brother used a student visa to travel to UK. Because of some personal reasons, he was not able to attend school. His dependent has switched to skilled worker. He applied to the Home Office to switch from student visas to skilled worker, and they asked him about the school certificate. I'm asking if you can use your noble office to assist him. Of course, we'll be more than happy to assist. So you can call the office number on 0208 0165 384. 0208 0165 384. 0208 0165 384. The only difficulty is we want to know if he wasn't able to complete and his wife came here as a skilled worker, she switched a skilled worker route, we will have to determine if he's able to switch. So yes, once we do the case analysis, we'll be able to advise him as to what to do. Ava Rose, hi. I hope you are good. As a dependent who wants to go to their home country and have a baby because of childcare issues, can I stay more than 6 months? If not, will I be denied re-entry if I do? Well, if you should ask me my opinion about this, I would say that if you had your baby here in the UK and you take the baby back home, God willing, when you come back and you eventually get your indefinite leave to remain, you are able to apply for British citizenship for that child to come back. You haven't asked me for that, but I'm just giving it to you. If the child is born in the UK, the child's got a British birth certificate, and you have taken the child out, then later when you get your indefinite, because the child was born in the UK, you are able to apply for British citizenship for the child to come. So the child becomes registered as a British citizen and they come to the UK with their British passports. So just think about that in that aspect. In any case, responding to the question that you've asked me, if if you want to go and give birth outside, fine. Yes, you are able to go give birth outside. You're able to stay there for a while. And if you're a dependent, then it's not such a big deal. If it is for childbirth, I'm sure 6 months should be fine. But I would not advise you to go more than 6 months. I wouldn't advise you to go for more than 6 months. Thank you. Bernard Awochi, I hope you're doing good. I came as a student dependent 1 year and I have been able to question is not completed. Can you add the difference, please? Please, what are the requirements for spouse visa renewal? If you want to renew a spouse visa, remember you came as a spouse, so you need a marriage certificate, number one. Number two, you need your passport. You need proof that you've lived with your spouse for 2 years, at least gas, water, electricity, telephone bills, etc., etc., for 2 years. You would need pay slip 6 months, bank statement 6 months, letter from employer, and your P60. You can add all of that to it. You need your husband's passport, you need your husband's pay slips, letter from your husband's employers, and things of that nature. You need your English language requirement level A2. If you have a first degree supported by NARIC letters, you are able to apply to get your leave to remain here in the UK. So yes, those are the documents that you will need to support your application. I want to ask, if my dad is having indefinite leave to remain, can I switch to his status when I'm having skilled worker visa and I'm 32 years in the UK? No, unfortunately, you cannot switch to your dad's leave. Your dad is on his own. Your dad is an independent candidate. You are an adult, you are not a child, so you cannot switch to your dad's leave. You have to fight your own fight or look for your own route to settlement here in the UK. Can I file my wife and her adopted child to bring? Can I file for my wife and my adopted child to bring them? Yes, you can. I don't know exactly which route on which you are. Whether you're a British citizen, you have indefinite leave to remain, you have 2.5 years, you're a EU national, etc. If you have 2.5 years, you cannot. If you're on a skilled worker route, you could, depending on when you came to the UK. If you're an EU national, yes, you can. So, depending on where you married, it will be either be done under the UK rules or under the EU rules. So, long and short is yes, you can, provided you meet the category of people who can apply for their spouse to come. British, indefinite, humanitarian protection, asylum protection, EU nationals, etc., etc. You can. If you're on 2.5 years, you cannot file for your spouse to come. If you're on the 2.5 tops, you can't. You have to wait until you are settled in the UK before you can apply for your spouse. And the next question is Nyako Abronuma. Hello, Abronuma. Okay. It says, what happens to dependent when the main applicant divorces the dependent? Would the dependent become illegal? Would the dependent get a letter from the Home Office? I have seen a few where after the divorce, the main applicant sends the divorce certificate to the Home Office that they are no longer in a relationship. And immediately the Home Office curtailed the leave for the Home Office curtailed the leave of the dependent. As soon as you send a divorce certificate that the relationship is over, boom, that's it. The Home Office will curtail your leave, you become an overstayer. And that is immediate. Usually it's immediate. So please, careful. Bernard Awochi again. Hi. I came as a student dependent on a 1-year visa. My man is changing. Please. DJ, I don't want to answer this question, please. Thank you. Please, lawyer, I want to ask if my dad is having indefinite leave. We have looked at this already. I said you cannot switch. You cannot switch to your dad because you are an adult and he has his indefinite leave. George Wampong, hello. Is it possible for someone who has lost his stay already apply for further leave to remain? Well, yes. A person in the category of 20 years long residence has already lost their stay. Somebody came here 20 years ago with a visit visa and they never applied for anything or they never renewed their visa. They have already lost their stay. But after 20 years, that person can apply for further leave to remain. So to this question, the answer is yes. Another category is assuming the person who came, his visa is expired, the person now has a child. Yes, he can also apply as a parent of a child, as a British citizen. Or this person has come, they've lost their leave because something happened, they've overstayed, they've married, the spouse has a child. Yes, they can apply as a partner of a person who is in the UK with indefinite leave to remain or and has a child. That is possible. So there are some circumstances or there are some scenarios to me as Richie, even if your leave is expired. But so we live in a you can't want to mean your student, want to mean your skilled worker, want to mean your skilled worker dependent, want to mean your charity worker, want to mean your minister of religion, and a whole lot of other things that you cannot do if your leave is expired. Okay, lawyer, please. My dad is a dependent in the UK and he already added me to his application. Can I join him? If your dad is a dependent in the UK, I'm sure dependent of a settled person or a British citizen. If that is the case, then you can join him if you are within the age range, that is below 18 years. If it's an EU national, then 21 years is easy. Above 21 years is still possible, but it becomes more difficult. So yes, it depends. It depends on additional information you could or you may not be able to, or again, depending on the information that I get. Hello, Kojo D. I have lived with my wife in the same house for over 2 years. In my spouse visa application, is evidence of communication necessary? No, evidence of communication is not necessary because you live with your wife. But you need evidence of cohabitation. You need gas, water, electricity, bank statement, TV license, credit card bills, insurance documents, and all the additional documents tenancy are going to show that you are actually living together as husband and wife, council tax bills, etc., etc. NHS letters, all this can be as proof that you actually live with your partner in the same address. So that is important. Communication, no, but other documents are quite important. Solomon, when applying for naturalization under this section 6.2, British spouse, what supporting documents are you required to provide for the 3 years since it's been stated that you can't use household bills? I haven't seen where it is stated that you can't use household bills. I haven't seen that yet, but in any case, you can use your bank statement, you can use your P60s, you can use HMRC records, and of course, you can use council tax. Household bills, you can add it to it as well. You can add household bills, gas, water, electricity. You didn't create these documents. These are independently provided documents, so you can use them as well to support your application. What they don't place weight on is sometimes letters from friends and family that they don't place weight on, and maybe telephone bills, maybe mobile bills, they don't place a lot of weight on, but landline and other ones they do. So please provide them with all that you can get, and I'm sure you'll be fine. Adai Miked, I hope I have pronounced it well. Is it possible to renew an expired student visa to EU supplement scheme as a relative of someone who is on a EU supplement scheme visa? Example is being a grandchild to the person with the EU visa. Well, if your visa expired as a student, it becomes very difficult to switch. Now, if you are under 21 years old, let's assume you're under 21 years old and your grandfather is here as an EU national, yes, you can, because there's no requirement for dependency before you came to the UK. But if you're more than 21 years and you have to prove dependency before you came to the UK and dependency still in the UK, then you may have some difficulties. Also, remember when you are coming, You put your father and your mother's names on the data on your document as a family relation. The person who is now going to become your grandparent, is he a father to your father or a father to your mother? Or is he a mother to your father or a mother to your mother? You must be able to establish that link. What if a DNA becomes necessary? Would it work? So think about some of these things before you proceed. But all in all, it could be possible depending on a whole lot of other factors again, age and all those other ones. George Buampong, is it possible that someone could get his grata through child? Moreover, the mother of that child wants to marry different person to help him. I'm asking if that's possible. Well, what I understand and what I know is this. Sɛ wo ne obi wɔ ba, na sɛ wo ba no yɛ British citizen, na wo no woyɛ involved in wo ba ne life mu a, ɛyɛ possible sɛ wobɛtumi afa wo ba no so anya w'asetena. Sɛ maame no kɔware obi foforɔ a, ɔno nso, yes, papa no ɔno nso n'abanoma abɛyɛ British citizen. The difficulty aba papa no bɛnya ne sɛ, wei de ɛnyɛ abanoma papa no bɛnya ne sɛ, ɛnyɛ the biological one. Because the biological parent is involved in the child's life, the step parent might find it difficult to prove say or sole responsibility, or he has got what do you call it, parental responsibility. And no, can be a problem for the step parent. The biological parent has no problem as long as it's involved in the child's life. On the step parents now will have a lot of difficulties because the child's biological father is still involved in the child's life. However, the mama no ewo eba foforo ne ba no nso yɛ British citizen ana ne ba no yɛ 7 years older, then of course aba papa no the stepfather betumi de afa ne stepchild plus on a stepchildren so near onye the other man ne ba no, but the other child now ɛwɔ in between no, the sandwich no betumi de afa so na ɔno nso anya n'asetena. But in cases where the other parent of the child is involved in the child's life, it becomes very difficult for the step parent to prove they have parental responsibility. That will be my response to this question. Hi, lawyer. Please, I have applied for my settlement status and it's been 2 months now. I have not received any email or letter. What should I do? Don't worry. Don't worry at all. These days, sometimes it takes a bit of time. Give yourself up to 6 months. It could be less than that, but Home Office will get back to you. I don't have their number of head, but we'll frame it from Monday. Anya Home Office, the EU settlement scheme for our telephone number, the amount they will tell you, sir, and Amuda so share, and so you don't have to worry about it at all. Don't worry, 2 months is not a long time for the Home Office, so don't you stress at all. Hello, Peter Hammer. I'm a parent of a British citizen and I'm planning to take my child to Ghana for a year or 2. Will there be any negative consequences whenever I decide to bring my child back to the UK? No. As long as the child is a British citizen, the child can go out, you can bring your child back to the UK. My advice would be, make sure, Odi Abufana Baba Ansana, wasitna based on Ubana, make sure so Dinaba, Mana start school, and I'll register GP again, and Sana Tam House, so we'll renew wasitna. And yes, sir, there will be a lot of difficulties for you. Thank you. Is it easy for a student to get a UK permanent stay? It is possible. It's possible. It's not easy, but it's possible. Thank you. Oh, for everyone, please, how long does it take to get a decision when you apply to switch? It's been 2 weeks and 3 days since my wife applied to switch. with her new COS. I'm sure if she had applied, if she had paid the 5 day one, it would have been quicker. Or if she had paid a 1 day one, it would have been within 1 day. If it is not the 1 day or the 5 days, then you have to wait for the duration. I don't know how long, maybe 6 weeks, 6 or 8 weeks or so. I haven't checked it recently, but it can take up to 8 weeks for the decision to be made in some cases. Thank you. Prisla Archery Wapping. Do I have to switch my dependents anytime I switch employer, and can my dependent switch to become a main applicant while I change to become a dependent? This is exactly what I treated. I think if you had joined us from the beginning, you would have noticed that this is exactly what I treated. Every time you switch with your dependent. And if your dependent switches to become men, for you to become a dependent, make sure the category or the code in which it is not 6135, 6136, 6145, 6146. If you are in that code, he will not be able to move with you. Another code, possibly, but not in this code. 6135, 6136, 6145, 6146. Those codes, you should have been under it before you came, and you have continued to be in that code. If it is another code, you will have a lot of difficulties. If it is in this code, you have a difficulty. But if it's another code, possibly you could move with them. So please always check the COS and see the job description side. What is the code under which the person's COS has been issued? That will help you a lot. DJ, I came to the UK as a student, couldn't go to school, but couldn't switch as a main applicant, but my dependent switched. Can I switch onto her? You came as a student, your dependent switched to, I'm sure, health and care. Yeah, if your visa is expired, it becomes impossible for you to switch to the health care dependent section. But if your visa is still valid, even though you haven't been to school and the visa is still valid, then possibly you could try the switching option as well. Thank you.
All right, lawyer. Make us thank you. Pick course, but time in the call. Nyami aduma next week. Say ba. Yen fa topic biamba. And now your question time. Ask lawyer. Nyami aduma next week Friday.
Studio
say ba. Ask lawyer.
Studio.
Lawyer yes.
Studio.
And the obaya now we bisa no questions.
Yes.
Now we hear no man. Now we aba. Obe in. But if number two on my friend. O friend a brief. You obe bisa no we bisa no. Because ebi mo omo ntimi type. Muso mbesa mo bisa lawyer question. Nti o de brief uba nyame adoma next na me say enye nene but o the topic ne ba ene no. Eno mo comment ni ade en.
I read yeah.
Me ka se me fa call lawyer o ti me ka.
Me too nka.
Me ka se me fa call sir. Birthday mood no activated. Nti ese me koye bibi. Ene ma bre. Ese me ko me ene me birthday so o journey en dia. Birthday mood activity. Nti me ka se me be phone lines see adia. Any another hour and 2. Mo be say me mood no.
Big day.
Nti dia me ka che mo ne say nyame ya aduma next week lawyer. Yen fa topic bi amba eno an say ask lawyer.
Ask lawyer.
Yes, ask lawyer. So dey bisa no. Dia won't ase me ni na your topics bebre be lawyer be 2 years no.
Yes.
And 3 years.
We're getting to 3 years. Topic be a person be say
yeah, bebre to date. Into see ano. Yeah, 2 mamo. Na mo so mbisa no question. Into ano de oba ya within a minute 30 seconds and a minute we bisa question and the people who fraba sa no we yi ano na the people who fraba no we yi ano sa anti by the time 1.5 hour no be so no na just we yi bibia no but me man chance say I feel na we discuss the topic no ntie mo comment ni ade dia ye ntimi nka chia nti ye so si su say ken oba na course nti ye study 5:30 GMT CC UK Ghana and no time ni nyina ye
yes.
Nti 5:30 pepepe na yesi so. Nti lawyer akpa me da so wise man solicitor for office location it to any baby on be find out sisi aminim say wo studio B to the office location it to.
Next week I will studio A, don't worry, we are crossing the globe, so don't worry. DJ, as well already create birthday in UK.
A birthday.
As well already create birthday in UK.
I said last year me birthday. Last year me UK na me birthday. UK no me birthday na me UK.
Oh, I see. I have some nice.
Last year so me feel UK na me feel UK November no.
Oh, I see.
And na me wo I've said twice crowd and who say me time me ba UK bia me ba UK summer time da o. And I say me ya na fi summer. Dey bia me na o. Me ba October, November, December, October, November, December. Dey bia o. UK 3 times am aba onya o. Dey bia me ba bia o. Inti next time I say me ba time I wi ane bono. That time no one shed dross in the one shed dross we go in mase. Anti pay one shed dross, one shed short things. One shed dross in the one shed dross no bia. That time I say me ba. 1 month from month fame. 1 month from month.
DJ, have a good one. A wise smart solicitors number 8.
Oh, lawyer, we Johnny. 1 month from month fame to Johnny.
This man is a bad boy.
1 month from month fame to Johnny. Or signing me out. Or no more signing me out.
8 to 9, the Print House. 18 to 22, Ashwin Street, Wiseman Solicitors. Postcode near E83DL. E83DL, your Dawson Junction behind the McDonald's. Telephone numbers near 0208 0165 384. That's +44 2080 165 384. Mobile number near 07931 411 042. DJ, that's a net.
Hey, lawyer, no pen was him. But we are there, Baba. Summer time, 1 month from one film. Me da lawyer wisdom akawase wise man solicitors. If you move and chair and me say, and kebefa cause back time in the court. Enti nyame adoma next week Friday. And there settle alarm, make sure say 5:30 GMT. Or UK at the same time 5:30. You buy me introduce you na course na start. And then for topic biamba. Until the bibi a chere wadwen so. No answer. But won say omo amota hwe no lawyer on pe connection. To be send the connection questions. On you are no. Sir, connect ono a lawyer. Ube be send na ni say branch be questions so ka say escape. On you are no. To be send ade be connection. And am person me we connection. On few. Ono pe ade a yes. Ebia uni document and now so say aha oba kireo those can't ba yen konfoni obi nkoye plan ya de and there on few kra nti amon hye no so wo bibia oba say obisa na bisa no bibi kire wadwe so oba say obisa na bisa no na ontimi kireo de we a obetimi aye no madam anse mo hwe SVTV Africa me time no aso ene so na mo hwe no ene ma woda ene me birthday happy birthday bra wish me thousands. Me appreciate you from Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, me WhatsApp so the end ben ko kra. Hey, na bebre so che me odo. Ba momo no ensu, momo no nsu. Me na message bu nim da send me WhatsApp message nya me se me drop momo. Na me de we dinner money ade no drop me kakra. Man tire o, I for chop some. Madam ase mo join na nyina madam ase mo join class madam ase Edward Bafo or say DJ happy birthday Peter Ama say happy birthday DJ Nyame, may God bless you, thank you, continue to bless you today. That say Adams Koduya me da say President Mwate me da say Godwin Mafo me da say mo join nyanya me da say President Ochebuate me da so 41 Mr. Fit Payment. Is it payment me body there? Okay, so Peter Ama me da say Prince Bwedu me da say George Buampong. Thank you so much. Adai is it Mike Edie? I don't know. Adai Mike Edie. Solomon me da say entry Lopazi, thank you so much. Entry Lopazi, Kojodi, Medasi Danny West, Medasi Kofi Ama. I see. And as I'm going to Kofi and Amade. Bernard Awotri, Medasi, thank you so much for joining. Nyakun Abranoma, Medasi, Emmanuel Medasi, Daniel Boateng, thank you so much for joining us today. Ava Rose, Medasi, Godwin Marfo, Medase, Gifty, Medase, Josephine Ai, Medase, Joseph Ai, Medase, Thompson Ofori, Medase, Baby Cobra 05, thank you so much, Susanna Mensa, Medase, Owusu Prince, Medase, Lee Rambo, thank you so much, Salome Kwe, Medase, Salo, drop your mumu, Salo, Bonyelo, Madam production team, myself, DJ Nyame. And then, need to make I go through small. I go through small. Man, tire. Echina. Let me add my bet you also. Madam production team, myself, subscribe to your YouTube channel, SVTV Africa, SVTV International, SVTV Africa Foundation. Let's help together. Shamu Kruma, I said 2. And I will be I would say 2. Major to 2. And one, I just say a call. But so IT US and not Ghana, the only school.
Young penny for baby say, if you are seeing her, be ma, be check. Why not HO? So we'll pay IT, who they won ye, so we'll pay support. Slam Technology say your #1 partner. Your office will US in ye, your office will Ghana, so ye, your numbers need go on. So we should share IT classes, we will career coaching, we will support for business cybersecurity. Free, na your partner. Your back here, wow. Slam Technologies, transformation with excellence. Free, see, baby, be around me and wow.